Good morning, folks. It is only Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. It's 10:34 in Montana. It's 12:34 on the East Coast, so I guess it's not morning there. But good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Yeah, we got snow.
Did you?
Snow. You snow in eastern Montana, man. Yeah.
Oh, how much?
Probably only an inch or two. Probably an inch, but it's still snow.
Well, that's still snow. We want to say welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. We didn't think we were going to do anything today. Like if I would have talked to you about our plans for the week, I would have said we're going to do an episode Monday and then have Thanksgiving, maybe a couple lives. But yesterday got a little wild after our interview with Senator Mark Kelly. I'll say he is our 6th sitting U.S. Senator that we've had on the show.
Yeah, but the others were just kind of to give an update on what was going on in different parts of government. The one yesterday was a little different because it was about the president unhappy with, I get this, the president was unhappy with people in the military saying, don't obey illegal orders. Seems pretty harmless to me, but the president took offense to it.
So here's what happened. We don't have a guest today. We're just going to talk about this. We ended our conversation with Mark Kelly at about 9:40 Mountain Time. And I hit the road and I was going to edit from the road and get it uploaded right away. And 10 minutes later, the Department of War, formerly known as the Department of Defense. Oh, is this the senator? Hold on. Somebody's calling him.
And nobody I know this time. Let me go take the phone off the hook. I'm sorry. Continue. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hold on.
Call from wireless caller. Call from wireless caller.
I'm going to take this moment to say to everybody that while we wait for Senator Tester to get back, we are live and we would love to hear your questions, your input as we talk about these topics. You know, it's Thanksgiving week. And if you have any questions for us, go ahead and put them in the chat. We have a couple chats going. We want to say hi to Lainey, who's watching us over on YouTube. Okay.
Sorry about that.
I was hoping it was another United States Senator calling.
Yeah, if it was, I didn't recognize the number, so.
All right. Okay, so the Department of War put this on X literally 10 minutes after our episode with Mark Kelly, our conversation with him ended. And it basically says that they've received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly and that it will be handled in compliance with military law. And then what happened after that is Pete Hegseth joined the conversation. What I think is interesting about this is that Pete Hegseth put this out on his personal X account, not his official X account. There's a whole thing there. Maybe you want to talk about that, Senator, about doing things from your personal and your official government social media account. But he wrote this and he basically said that Mark Kelly is the only one of what he calls the seditious six being targeted here because he falls under the jurisdiction and is still subject to the UCMJ because the other 5 were not officially retired. One was former CIA, 4 former military, but not officially retired. But because Mark Kelly was, he falls under this category. So then Senator Kelly responded with this photo. Oops, wait, hold on. There's so many photos to share. He responded with this photo saying, when I was 22 years old, basically he was commissioned and he swore an oath to the Constitution. He upheld that oath. He talked about his 39 combat missions in Operation Desert Storm, test pilot school, 4 space shuttle flights at NASA, and his wife's assassination attempt. And he also goes on to say that he only learned about this investigation through Pete Hegseth's tweet. That's how he was notified that he was under investigation. So today, Pete Hegseth responded, and he put captain in quotation marks, and he said that Mark Kelly's uniform isn't displayed correctly, and that when and if he's recalled to active duty, he's going to start with a uniform inspection. So that's what happened with Mark Kelly yesterday afterward. But then there's brand new reporting here still that the FBI is now looking to interview all 6 of the congressional Democrats who were in that video. So take it away, Senator.
Well, I mean, this is weaponizing every department they can weaponize. This has been what the president has done since he was sworn into office. We saw it with Comey. We saw it with the attorneys. We just continue. We continue to see now the Department of Defense. I mean, the Department of War, the FBI, all the things that Trump accused previous administrations of doing, he is doing. And what's ironic to me in all this is a guy that did not go to war in Vietnam because he made up some excuse about having bone spurs and had his dad attest to it. That's the information that I've got. And he's willing to go after somebody who's literally put their life on the line for this country and is a combat veteran. I doubt Pete Hegseth can say that he was a combat veteran. I don't know that. I haven't read up on it. But the truth is that this guy who does war plans on a signal account that is not classified bears his own responsibilities here. What Captain Kelly, what Senator Kelly did was basically repeat the obvious after the president had made many statements over his first term and part of this term about how he was going to use the military. Just to inform the folks who have signed up that it's important that they, understand what the rules of engagement are and that they don't have to follow orders if they deem them illegal. Here's one other thing that I want to point out, though. So these guys, in all their bluster, are going after somebody who has served this country, who signed up on his own free will and accord and served this country in the military. And they're going after him because they can. Because of his service to this country is why they're going after him. I wonder how that's going to affect the all-volunteer military. It's pretty crazy way to be doing business here. And it's not very ethical. And quite honestly, now they're turning the FBI loose on interviewing. All this is about really what I think is very poorly thought through ideas about how the president can say, look, if you do anything contrary to me, I'm coming after you. And it's one of the reasons, by the way, that we've got to do nothing Congress, because he's made this pretty clear from the very outset. And for that reason, you got Congress that's scared shitless of what might happen if they counter this president. Now, there's been a couple things happening in the last week that have been interesting. The Epstein files were voted on and are going to be released, something the president didn't want to have happen. And we will see what happens, how those releases happen, and if in fact they do happen. But that's one thing. There's been stuff going on in healthcare that the administration's put out that people in Congress have pushed back. And hopefully this will continue because, by the way, if we're going to live by the Constitution, we ought to live by the Constitution. And part of the Constitution is Article 1, the Congress, the legislative branch, needs to hold the administration accountable, the administrative branch. And the same thing with the judicial branch. And so, look, this whole thing just smacks of intimidation and trying to make people not do the right thing, to be able to make it so that fake news is real news and real news is fake news. And it just goes to the plan. And unfortunately, this is what's going to potentially take this country out as a leader of the world. It's just really, 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 really bad leadership. And if anybody knows bad leadership, it's Senator Mark Kelly, because he's been in leadership. He is in leadership, and he understands what it takes to be in leadership. These other dudes don't get it. They just flat don't get it.
I think that, well, first of all, do you have an opinion on why Hegseth might have put this on his personal account and not from his secretary account?
I have no idea. Maybe he's concerned that, spouting this kind of stuff on his personal account would have negative implications to him. I don't know. I don't think there's there.
Okay.
In fact, I think it's just the opposite. I'm talking about what they're doing to the 6 members or to Senator Kelly. I think it's more about trying to intimidate. And I just don't know that he does it with this crew. I think they're pretty responsible folks, and I just don't know that they're going to take doing something that, quite frankly, most people have seen and questioned with this commander-in-chief's leadership and with the Secretary of Defense Hegseth's leadership, that anything's possible. So to really just talk about what is legal here, because they didn't say anything that was inaccurate. I just think it's pretty crazy. And to see the folks in the media, and to see the folks in the Senate and in the House that know better, either saying the opposite or not doing anything, is what's really frustrating here.
Yeah, we haven't seen the end of this, of course, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. I mean, there are people who are critical of why they chose to release this, but at the same time, while being critical about why they did it, saying, like you just said, they said, don't follow illegal orders, and that is what the UCMJ says. So they didn't say anything that wasn't already laid out. And then I think about all of the times the president has put things on social media calling for things to be done. I mean,
yeah, Kelly went over some of it in our podcast yesterday.
Right.
Senator Kelly did. And for these guys to say, well, this is just business as usual and nothing has changed, couldn't be further from the truth. And
I'm trying to remember when he was, I think he was on a debate stage with Hillary Clinton, and he was talking, when he called for Russia to basically hack into their stuff. I mean, that's a pretty big call to action. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot to follow. We'll see what happens with the FBI requested interviews. And if you didn't catch our show with Mark Kelly yesterday, it really was a really wonderful conversation. We dug into a lot of this. We dug into a lot of the questions we've heard from other folks about, if they anticipated this kind of thing. And we did ask him. I mean, I asked him literally just minutes before this came down, if he thought that he was going to be investigated or if he was being surveilled. And he said no. So you can go check it out for yourself.
He also did say that the president is a master of switching the conversation. And I think he's tired of hearing about Epstein. And I think this is one way he can do that. This information is still out there about what's in those files. Just do a little search on one of the search engines and you'll see plenty of information about who's in it. And I don't think he wants to deal with that. And so this is a great way to claim there's an evil going on here when it really is not.
Well, it certainly took the attention of Epstein yesterday. I will tell you that. We have a couple people in our chat saying, ding, ding, ding. That's exactly what it is. We will continue to follow this. Like I said, this is not over. So this morning, we have several outlets reporting that Ukraine and the U.S. are finalizing a peace deal. The Washington Post says that deal is likely to be rejected by Russia, but there is reporting that says that Ukraine has agreed to core terms here. It's unclear what those are. You remember that 28-point peace plan that was kind of leaked last week? It involved a lot of territorial concession basically to Russia. It called for them to limit their military, and it called for them to never try to join NATO again. So we'll see what this new plan might look like. The latest draft apparently, though, has 19 points down from that 28.
Yeah, so, we all know that Russia invaded a country because they thought they should and wanted to take it over, a democracy, And in the process, a lot of people have been killed. A lot of Russians have been killed. A lot of Ukrainians have been killed. And if you want to know the best peace plan, Russia needs to get the hell out of Ukraine. The truth is they went in illegally. They are committing war crimes. The 60 Minutes episode can talk about that in spades. And they ought to get the hell out because, quite frankly, their invasion was absolutely unacceptable. And it's why, as Senator Kelly pointed out yesterday, that all the folks who used to be part of the Russian bloc are really damn nervous because they don't think it's going to stop there. Now, I don't know about the latest draft. I haven't seen the 19 points and never saw the 28 points before. But the fact is Russia's never, ever been a country that you could depend upon as cutting a deal and sticking with it. And so I just am very, very cautious about any sort of peace deal that actually Russia will obey, period, whether it's 28, 19, whatever. And the other thing is that I don't know that the United States has been, or the administration, I should say, has been really, really clear on who really drafted this 28-point plan. There's a lot of information that shows that Russia drafted it and the administration said, yeah, we think this is a good idea. It's a bad deal. And I think the Europeans may have had some input here. I hope they did. And hopefully this thing works. Everybody wants to see peace. It'd be a nice time to have peace with Thanksgiving in this country. But the bottom line is that I don't trust Russia on anything, and they ought to just get the hell out of Ukraine because they went in for no reason whatsoever. It's just crazy.
Okay, so we had another big piece of news that broke after we recorded our episode yesterday, and that was that a judge dismissed charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, literally because they found that the prosecutor recently appointed, Lindsay Halligan, was unlawfully appointed. There have been so many dramatic ups and downs to this. The previous prosecutor was basically forced out because he wouldn't go through with these indictments. There was a whole lot of drama around the grand jury, So we'll see. Attorney General Pam Bondi says they are going to immediately appeal. James Comey's lawyers say, hey, the statute of limitations ran out. But this is just another dramatic story that it seems wild that this is happening at the top levels of our judicial system.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about weaponization of the Department of Defense, and now this weaponization of the Department of Justice was the first agency, I think, that was weaponized against the president's political opponents. They haven't followed the law very well, which is pretty apparent by the judge's decision. Early on in these episodes that we had an individual on from Florida that knew Bondi, and
Dave Ehrenberg.
He actually stood up for her. Good memory. He actually stood up for her and said, she is a good person. I just don't see how this fits with his description of her at all. They know exactly. She knows exactly that Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed, but yet, going to immediately appeal. This is the difference between the first term and the second term. There's nobody around the president that is telling the president the truth, just telling him what he wants to hear every step of the way. And it's a huge problem. We had Bolton come on and it said it's not loyalty, it's fealty. And he was spot on correct. And, Comey, he's no dope. We'll see what happens.
We have some people on our feed here saying that the cases will be, we know the cases will be dismissed, and they're saying that this is spot on. Another viewer, Catherine, says that yes, Senator Russia needs to get out immediately. Okay, so we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation yesterday. That's going to happen in about a month. Well, Punchbowl News had some reporting yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting. Basically, they said that over the weekend after Marjorie Taylor Greene announced she's resigning, that other GOP members wrote them to say, you know what, we're also considering resigning midterm. And this is one exchange from what they call a particularly exercised senior House Republican. This entire White House team has treated all members like garbage, all. And Mike Johnson has let it happen because he wanted it to happen. That's the sentiment of nearly all appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file. The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod and threatened. They don't even allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies, not even the high profile. The regular rank and file random members are more upset than ever. Members know they're going into the minority after the midterms. More explosive early resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower.
Well, the assessment is similar to mine. I've said that it's got to be miserable back there in Congress because they're not doing anything. What I would say is, for those sources that want to remain unnamed, there's something you can do about Mike Johnson just rolling over him and being the president's rubber stamp. You stand up and say, this is BS. You stand up and say, this is unacceptable, or this is not what Congress is meant to do. But they got to have the guts to do that. And if they do that, they will take back control of the House and the Senate, and they will start functioning again, which is really critically important for this democracy. And so, it's one thing to bitch about how bad it is back there, but I haven't heard, with the exception of Marjorie Taylor Greene and a couple others, Tillis and some others, how many people have spoken up about the policies and how bad they are and how there is no input by appropriators or any other committee as far as that goes. So they need to stand up, say enough is enough. And until they do that, they're going to continue to be in a miserable situation. And I think they're right. I think there's a lot of folks that don't like it, and they're asking themselves, life's too short for this crap, because we are not doing anything. We're not protecting the democracy. We're not stopping bad policy. We're not doing anything. When I say we, that's Congress, and they need to speak up.
Here's, though, I mean, we talk about the guardrails from the first administration not being there anymore, right? If you disagreed with the president, you're out. And it was basically in Trump 2.0, everybody who would have stopped him from doing these things, they knew, they're not going to have a place in this administration. I kind of feel the same way about Congress, though. I mean, these people who say, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's resigning because she doesn't want to do it anymore, but isn't that more of a reason to stay in? Same with Senator Tillis. Like, if you are one of the voices of dissent and, if you just resign, then that voice goes away. If you stay in, couldn't you get other people to join you?
If you're 100% correct, if they're willing to speak up. But if they're willing just to sit there and do nothing while the president runs over them, you're right. Basically, you're worthless anyway, so you might as well leave. But you're right. Marjorie Taylor Greene should have stayed in and made her point. I think she she was incredibly effective because the truth is the Epstein files need to be released. The president promised that. She was holding the president to his promise. And she probably should have stayed in. But, she felt the wrath of the president, like many have, including myself, by the way. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't resign. The people.
You did it?
No, I didn't. That's breaking news. You heard it
breaking
here first.
news. He didn't resign. What happened?
I think the other guy got more votes than I did. I think that's the problem. Okay.
We want to say hi to old Hank in New Mexico, who's saying hi to us here in the chat. So yeah, that's really all I have to talk about, unless anybody has any questions. But we wanted to hop on. It was wild to have Senator Kelly on yesterday, and then to see what happened afterward, and just the day's events, and that it's still going on today. So he's told us he's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel tonight. You think he's still going to be on?
Oh, I have no doubt. Mark Kelly is, I'll just tell you, for the time I spent with him in the United States Senate, he is a no bullshit guy. and he is straight up. He is 100% military. He understands how the program works, and quite frankly, he understands what's important in this country. And I will be shocked if he doesn't go on Kimmel.
Yeah, he went on Rachel Maddow last night.
Yep.
So he basically says he's not going to back down, and we've heard that sentiment from all of those lawmakers. Okay, well, do you want to? We're doing this mini episode. What does your hat say? Let's see. Just the Montana, state of Montana.
It's pretty generic. It's just a state of Montana hat. You know, I was gonna put on something fancy, but you organized this Substack thing so quick I couldn't even change shirts from yesterday.
I mean, you're still wearing.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, you know, I work.
So tell us about that. Like, you just thought
to the bones. I mean, you know, really unbelievable.
And did you spill some food on that shirt?
Yeah, I think there's some right here. You know,
what is it? Is it like maple syrup? Is that what you said?
I don't know. I didn't really check it out when it happened. It could be maple. Could be some syrup.
Hey, we have
part of a brownie. It's just, you know, part of my diet.
Part of a brownie. Oh man, yeah. We have some thanks here in the chat. Someone says that they sure do miss you as our senator.
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I miss it, but not much. Okay, so you know.
All right.
I wish, truth be known, I mean, and I've said this before on this podcast, on this Substack, that you know, I would like to be there for the fight, both the fight with Republicans and with Democrats, but you know, but we are where we are. I mean, you know, and getting on that before we close really quick, I know that there was an article put, I can't remember where it was. Got it this morning when I was scrolling through stuff, where there's a half a dozen Democrats that are mad at the DSCC. There's just a Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee because they're playing in certain races, and those folks aren't liberal enough for them. What I would tell you is what Senator Whitehouse said in a video 2-3 weeks ago. Keep focused on what the real problem is here. And it ain't the DSCC, folks. I'm just telling you, it ain't. And so focus on what the issue is. The Republicans, I shouldn't say that. President Trump would love nothing more than just to have Democrats fighting with Democrats, because then it takes off all the things he's doing to weaponize agencies and put tariffs on people, same thing, and all the other crazy stuff that's pushing away our best friends in the world, and trying to cut deals with Russia, to cut Ukraine out, which wouldn't be the end of this conflict at all. So I appreciate folks making their voices heard, but keep it focused on what's really important here. Really.
We have Ed asking if we can talk about the citizen movement in Montana to deal with corporations and funding. We can, Ed, but I think that's a longer conversation. So let's put a pin in that, and we will talk about that because it's getting some national attention.
Yeah. Maybe what we should do is we'll throw in an extra podcast or extra Substack, and have Jeff Mangan, who's really heading this operation up, and he can give us where it's at in the courts and what the AG opinion was and all that stuff. But the goal is, he's right, is to keep corporate money out of elections, which interesting enough, the Montana Chamber of Commerce came out against, when in fact, if you have a few more ads off TV, it'll give those small businesses at the Montana Chamber more time to advertise that they're having a furniture sale or selling cars or whatever it might be.
Kathleen says that she's going to contribute to Senator Kelly's campaign today. That is the unintended consequence of this, I think, for the president, is that he's, you know, a lot of people are going to donate to him. Okay, we are going to hop off, but we want to thank you all for being with us. We want to thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. Again, it's Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat well, enjoy your friends and family, and we'll chat again soon.
Tally ho!